Okay, just a brief overview of the Siemens CNC dialects between the Siemens ISO G291 and Siemens G290. What is the meaning of this? And also when we look at the changes in the controllers, maybe somebody is using 802, 808 or 810 or 828 or 840. Siemens controllers normally allow operator to create two programming language. We have what we call the Siemens Dialect and what we call ISO Dialect. In Siemens language, for example, the 808 controllers, when you want to use the ISO or the Siemens language, because it has two languages, so you can activate it using G290. You initialize it in your part program. So when you put G290, it means you're using Siemens controller or Siemens language. But if you use G291, it means you are using ISO dialect. So the G290 normally activates the native language of the Siemens controller. This normally is the high level cycles. They normally use the cycles. For example, rough turning, you normally use CYCLE95, threading CYCLE97, finishing CYCLE99, and also transformation, maybe orientation, L, C, P. That's what advanced geometry commands. There are so many of them as compared to ISO Dialect. The ISO Dialect, when you put G291, it activates the ISO programming language, which is the normal word programming language. You call them G and M code. The format is normally similar to FANU, HAS, GSK, and other controllers. Like, for example, CYCLE95 for rough turning. In ISO Dialect, you can use G71 or G72. Then you can also use G76 for thread cycle, G32, G33, or even G92. Then you can also use G76, G73 for back drilling, but on the Siemens you can use G73 as pattern rough turning. Then G90, G91 normally can be used as an absolute or as incremental. So these are normally compatible with these different controls because they ISO control. But the Siemens, it has its own conjure editors. When you look at the language, key difference, when you're using Siemens controller, normally Siemens controller is the high level cycles. They do not use high level cycles as compared to ISO Dialect, which is a FANUC style ISO or even HAS or GSK. Then we have threading CYCLE97 or CYCLE207. Normally the ISO you use G76. When you are doing roughing, you are using CYCLE95, but for normal ISO, it may be G72 or G71 or even G73. In terms of difficulty or learning difficulty, Siemens language, yes, they are high end. So you need to understand how to reuse the program for this, because already it has their own conjure editors. But for ISO, it is easier for users to use. Then the power and flexibility is very high for Siemens language as compared to the ISO Dialect. When you look at the cycle parameters, normally they are named using NPP or MID or FIL. This is mainly for conjure. This for this can be the MID for the parameters or the diameters. Then this can be finishing allowance, all of them. Then for ISO Dialect, you use specific parameters to address the finishing allowance. Maybe you can use X amount or U or W to give the specific amount for finishing. Those are the key differences. When you look at the generation of these controllers, like the Siemens 802, this normally was developed between 1995 and 2010. So this was the entry level for basic turning and milling operation that was used in training and small CNC machines. All the generation were replaced by 808. Now from 802 they replaced 802 with 808. This now was the modern entry level. I think it is being used until today. Since 2010 until today it's being used because it now supports this G290 and G291 mods when you are activating it. You call it a simplified version of 828. Then you have 810D. This was a mid-range also, which came into between 1998 to 2008. That is, it was popular in 2000. I think those people who are using Siemens CNC machines were able to understand when it came into industry. Then we have the 828. This now, it was developed from 2010 onwards. It is 20 years old. 20 years old. This is what it was developed. So Siemens 828D. Most of these Siemens 828 are used on DMG Mori, MCO, and some of the machines which are used in various competitions. And it supports a high level CYCLE95, even up to CYCLE99 for rough turning, grooving, threading, boring, all of them. It supports this CYCLE95 up to 99. Then now we have what we call 840D SL. 840D SL, which is now the common, I think is now the current one with the Sinumerik ONE, which was developed 2005 to 2022. I think now is the current which is normally used across different machines, like the Carl Maho, that is the DMG, DMG Mori, NLX, and NTX. So these across are used. Then you have Sinumerik ONE. This is now the latest generation from 2010 to 2020, is the future of the Sinumerik Siemens 840, which is now used in compatible with Industry 4.0. To summarize this, we have the summary table for this. As we can see, the 802, this was the older generation between 1995 to 2010. That was basic training control. Then we have 808. It's a modern entry. I think now, since 2010, it's up to today, it replaced 802. Then we have 810 also. It was the mid-range, also all that, which was the predecessor of 828. Then you have 828, now the mid-range modern, which is normally used since 2010. Also, it is popular in most of the DMG machines. Then we have the 840. This is the high end, which came into play between 2005 to 2022, and now most of the industries are using 840 SL. Then Sinumerik ONE is the latest from 2020 as the future of the successor of 840 DSL. When you use G290 and G291, choosing the right dialect depends on the specific needs and experience. Maybe you feel you have been using Fanuc machines on the ISO dialect, but now you are coming to a Siemens controller. So don't shy off, or you can just go to, for example, if you're using now 808, instead of you trying to maneuver the controller itself, maybe it may give a challenge. You just, in your program, you initialize the program using G291, and then you write your ISO program. The machine will just pick it automatically, and then it will use. Normally, G290 is advanced cycles. They are normally used for advanced cycle accuracy and power. They are normally used in Siemens controllers, programming all the multi-axis or complex parts. They can be used in high-end cycles like CYCLE95 up to CYCLE99, and also 5-axis or 10 minutes. So in case you are conversant with the ISO controller, but you want to use Siemens controller which has ISO and also it has the Siemens, so you can initialize your code with G291, and then you write your ISO program. It will just do whatever you want to do. That is what is the difference between CYCLE290 and code G290 and G291.